Ah, ah. Okay. Okay. Um, Good morning, Sabaho. Let's just do this again. Let's just do this again. The show's about to start. We're starting it right. Um, by the way, if you didn't hear what I was saying before, I was saying a lot of great things about you guys. I was talking you up. I give out a whole bunch of this different stuff. There was a lot of giveaways. So as long as you follow all the instructions we covered in the first 4 minutes of the show, where was no audio, we're going to be great. Okay. Stream redo. I have to. I'm gonna have to blame it on Juan Carlos at some point. Yeah, there has to be a way for me to kind of just say it's Juan's it's Juan's fault. He's not here to defend himself, and then we're just gonna keep going with that. But with that being said, actually let's just do exactly what Ranesh is saying. We're gonna do a stream redo, meaning we're gonna restart the stream at this point since we had no audio. Can some people can lip read, DK? You can't get away with that. I wanted to, yeah. I mean, come on. What better way to say that I did this massive, super gajillion dollar giveaway that nobody had an opportunity to hear, and then that I gave out the instructions, and as long as you follow it, since I'm not going to repeat it again, you're good. Um, I love it. I love it. No, but with that being said, I do want to say Sabah, everybody. Welcome back to the show. Hope you're doing well. I hope you guys are taking care of yourself. It is the beginning of the weekend for me, myself here in the U.S. We have a holiday, obviously on Monday, Memorial Day, so it's going to be a little bit of a long weekend. But it is actually just somewhat of an interesting week. What I said before, which I'm repeating, I guess. It hasn't been really that busy of a week when it comes down to tech. We didn't have a lot of devices announced. We did not have a lot of major announcements or showcasing or anything like that. We did actually get some software updates in relation to MIUI devices, specifically the Xiaomi Mi 11 and the Mi 11 Ultra. There are other devices running a beta in China or other areas that you're able to download. By the way, for most Xiaomi-based devices, there is a link in the description below for the available betas and early downloads. If you guys want to be able to check out and see if your device, specifically if it's a Xiaomi device or a Redmi, that if actually did receive it. I want to say Redmi. Yeah, it is the Redmi. The Realme is the Oppo side. So overall, it's been an interesting week. Somewhat of a slow week for the channel. I only actually pushed out one video. There's been some things going on in just work and day stuff. And I wanted to kind of put out a video for the S21 Ultra because there's been some things going on with that device ever since the launch that I felt like I could get over, which I did. The lack of MST was something that I was able to surpass, mostly because I stopped using Samsung Pay. That was something I really enjoyed on Samsung devices. But the lack of MST, I can't use it where I live. It's a weird situation in the US. Not all tellers, not all terminals that you go to pay at your grocery stores or even in shops are compatible with NFC, or basically the form of payment that Google Pay does. So for me, it's something that I used to use in the past, and they took it out of the watches, they took it out of the smartphones, so now we don't have it anymore. So that was fine. The storage was a little bit of another conversation that we talked about in the video. The other thing that I also kind of felt like that was a little bit of an issue, at least more specific to me and a few others, is there's a little bit of an audio bug going on within the Samsung Galaxy smartphone, especially the S21 Ultra, at least for me. Where if I'm on Wi-Fi calling and I'm using and I have a conversation or a phone call, and let's say I use a Bluetooth headset, and then that call goes fine. But the next call I do, if I disconnect from Wi-Fi calling, for some reason, outgoing or incoming audio stops coming. I can no longer hear the other party, and they can hear me. The call is going, it connects, but then there's an audio bug where I cannot hear them. And what ends up happening for me is that I actually have to end up restarting the entire smartphone just to get the audio to work in calls. Mind you, media still works fine. It's the audio from the other end coming in that stops. So that's something that, I think not a lot of people, just not a lot of people really may be aware of it. And I think Greg makes a good comment there. Exactly. Google Pay works well where it's compatible or where it's accepted. We are not at 100% adoption. I feel like Europe is a little bit more advanced than the US when it comes down to adoption to Google Pay or NFC type payments. Because I actually found that like when I was traveling in the UK, back when I was able to go to the UK, and you were going down to the metro or so on, you just tap your phone if you have NFC on it, and you can actually pay with your credit card and then just get in. So you don't have to keep buying, tokens or, Oyster cards or anything like that. I think it's either Oyster or Octopus card. I keep forgetting which one is the UK and which one is Hong Kong. But short answer, those are things that I felt like, were changed in the S21 series. The camera experience is decent. I think the storage realistically should not even be considered at 128. We should be back to 256, mostly because we don't have expandable storage and we have much better cameras. The camera improvements they've done here, specifically on the front-facing camera, is really nice. Front-facing camera, 4K 60 with autofocus on the S21 Ultra, which is really where all of the new improvements have been done. So I'm not trying to make it sound like I'm having concerns with the phone, but it's for somebody that's used it for quite some time and has a lot of data, and I shoot with it. An example: the images that I produce every Saturday morning for the live stream are all shot on the S21 Ultra. I shoot the image, I edit it, I crop it, filter it a little bit, and then of course I add my own little banners on top of it, and then make it and I upload it to the live stream. That's how I do my thumbnails, for the lack of a better term. A lot of the B-roll that you see in some of my videos, I typically take them with the S21 Ultra because I've had it set up in a way where it actually works very nicely and it fits into my ecosystem. Shoots 4K 60 on the front and on the back, so I can actually rely on having it work exactly the way I want it. And it doesn't allow me there's not a lot of room for mistakes to be made unless you basically just totally are working with a very interesting setup where there's just too much light and you couldn't really expose right. So short answer is I have a lot of things in there, and it was something that was on my mind. Earl Owens is in there. Hey man, ER is saying NFC payments is everywhere in the UK. So exactly, including parking machines and small shops. It's basically the default. Even small markets, stalls have wireless card machines with NFC built in. So don't get me wrong. I think NFC is the way to go. I think NFC has been number one for quite some time. It's just that it's weird that in the US, or at least if where I am, and I don't think I live in a very small town, but at least in where I am, there isn't I would say basically 9 times out of 10, wireless is not compatible. And it was very recently that the CVS pharmacy near us has started accepting payment methods. And I think realistically, I'll say this much. One thing we love so much about the Note 20 Ultra is still, and my wife still uses it today, is that MST functionality. She knows that she can go to any terminal and pay with her phone without having to worry about the card not having to take the card out, inserting it, or anything like that. That's actually a very big feature that I feel like we all lost with basically the 2021 series of S21s. But yes, no, AR is definitely very, very true. In the UK, or at least in the areas that I've traveled in the UK, it's been accepted everywhere. And that's something to be appreciative. And I realize where Samsung is kind of feeding into. Google's been already in there. Google Pay kind of gets accepted as well. But it's just, like I said, it's more of the things that I don't have access to that I can't really utilize all the time. So Jimmy Fire Dragon is asking what part of the UK. So the big part, mostly just London for the most part. I've been into London a few times, mostly for shows and events. Actually, specifically the laptop that I'm going to talk to you guys about today, the Honor Magicbook Pro is so here, this guy. So I used to travel to the UK a lot for Honor, for Huawei, for launch events, and even for Oppo one time as well. For I think was it the Oppo 10X Zoom, the launch event when they had that back in the UK. So most of my trips have always been around that. I've also visited, OnePlus offices in the UK, but again, mostly in downtown London. So around, I would say around the River Thames, somewhere around there is where I used to get my hotels. And then I have a few friends that I get to go visit and come back. There's also been other situations where I've gone and day trips in the UK when I was visiting Europe, or like Paris and so on. So there's the UK for me has been a big, I would say a big hub, since we tend to go through the UK anywhere we want to go for the rest of Europe. But I typically go to London. So hopefully that helps. So let me see. Okay, I want to say Doodle Xenos Infopinion. Hey, have you updated the Galaxy Wearable app for the Buds? Actually, I haven't used these Galaxy Buds yet recently. I did see a lot of updates before I transitioned. I've been using the Soundcore app or the Soundcore Q35s that I reviewed not that long ago. They're small over the ear. Well, they're like small, but very nice pair of headphones, over the ear headphones that I've been wearing, and they actually work really nice. Because they're over ear, they give us much better noise cancellation, and they're light, they're easy to carry, they come with a really nice case. But it's the bass, it's the audio tuning that they've done. They're very close to my Sony's, my XM3s. So realistically, the sound experience with the price difference, it's such a great deal. If you haven't had a chance to check it out, check out the video I posted, I think it was a few weeks ago, for the Q35s. But I will definitely update the app and double check and see how the new Samsung Buds are playing. And hopefully, I'm assuming it's the Buds Plus that you have, Doodle. Davin's in there. Hey man, good morning. I did want to say Chemi's in there as well. Gary. Oh, Josh Quinones, my buddy. My Josh and I we've been playing some games. We've been playing a lot of Call of Duty in the morning and during the day. TK's mic never works. So okay, this is Josh just messing with me. Okay, so the problem we have had with this is a bad week. Okay, it's not I promise it's usually not this bad. During the week when I've been playing with Josh, and I think was it Josh and Matt and so on, and my mic on Call of Duty just doesn't work. I'm having a problem. I have a really nice headset. Okay, so. It's an expensive headset. It's a Logitech G Pro wireless. Okay, it works perfectly fine. For some reason, though, I don't know what it is. I test out the mic settings inside of Call of Duty. It hears me. They can't hear me. They just cannot hear me. The audio just never makes it through with this headset. So I ended up always having to go to my my Audio-Technica wired headset, and that seems to work. But that's what Josh is kind of commenting there. Is the TK's mic never works. So we always jump into games where Josh and Matt are talking, and I'm just listening, screaming at myself every time I'm trying to say some stuff. But we've had good matches. I'm really enjoying it. So he and I play a lot of Call of Duty, like Plunder or just Battle Royale, and then of course, hopefully we'll be able to transition to some Apex Legends. I've been also playing a lot of that. I want to say Ranesh, good morning. Gary, and then of course Ricardo, Abdel Isa, good morning. Sabaho. I forgot that I said Sabaho to you earlier, but I didn't get a chance to because the mic situation. And if I'm not far enough, I think there was a new April Cashin. Hopefully you're doing well. Video leak on Reddit. Okay, so Akshat is Arosha. Have you seen the XM4, the new XM4 video? So I did see them. The design looks interesting, and I'm very intrigued into seeing how they perform. Specifically, since I have the 3 edition, so I have the over-the-ear normal the XM3s, and I also have the XM3s when it came down to the smaller earbuds. Or actually, even I'm probably saying, okay, take that back. No, I think I have the XM2s. I never went to the 3 mostly because actually, yeah, I think it was the feature on it wasn't as much of an improvement. I'm hoping the 4s are what they seem to be. So I'm actually very interested to see what they offer. I'm hoping they come out around the same time as the Xperia 1 Mark II or Mark III, since we're getting into that almost summer experience, which is pretty much where Sony was actually announcing the new hardware is going to be coming out. They say they can't hear you. No, it's not on purpose. They're not ignoring me, but it's a consistent problem. I realized it's either that I need to set the gain on this in the app from Logitech to be a little bit higher on the audio. But I'll say this much: I've used the microphone on this headset for for audio dictation and even video conference calls before, and they've worked perfectly. But something in Call of Duty, for some reason, it has to be some type of setting in there where it just doesn't pick up the mic on this headset. But the one when I put in on the Audio-Technica works perfectly fine. Now, that one's a wired headset, this one wireless. I'm not sure. Maybe I have an issue with the mic. I may need to do an exchange on this. So that's actually very interesting. Not supporting the Galaxy Buds Pro. If I guess Samsung's intention was mostly just to keep that for Android, I'm not 100%. I'm assuming you can still use them as a normal pair of Bluetooth buds. You just don't have a way of setting up the EQ. Because in theory, technically, you could just be able to basically turn them on if they're not connected to another device, pair them as a standard audio pair of audio headphones, and they should work. But I would be surprised. I've never tried using them with iPhones. I typically don't mix ecosystem. So like AirPods, if I do have AirPods, I'll end up using them mostly on the iOS ecosystem because that's really where they're intended to be worked. Although I do test them on the other system, I don't typically pair and use them there. So for the Buds Pro, those are the ones I've been using. I used it with my S21 Ultra for sure. Let me see here. What else we have? Good afternoon. Oh, from Ohio, Ronald Sims. Hey, man. Good morning. Oh, good afternoon. That's true. Joe Hickey's in there. I think there's an issue with crossplay. I played with PC Player, and their mic, which is also very good, plays up a bit. It's been an interesting experience. You're right. both Matt and Josh play on a PlayStation for gaming, and I'm playing on PC. I'm typically the only PC gamer. I think unless Val is in the gaming or in the match, we typically are primarily one PC, two PS5s, or PS5s, or I think depending on what they have as far as PS4. I think somebody else had a PS4. But it's an interesting approach. I need to every time the problem is we don't plan them very well. So like one time we were chatting and I was playing a couple of games and then Josh jumped in. So I didn't really think right away to say, okay, hold on a second, let me switch headsets. It's one of those, you gotta have to kind of plan. But yeah, so going back to a little bit more, Sony's definitely, I'm excited to see what the XM4s look like, especially with the new videos that we saw. I'm still surprised that we still don't have any information on the Pixel 4 5A. That was something that was supposed to be, at least by now, we start hearing about it, seeing something happening to it. Last year, if I'm not mistaken, I think we did hear about it in June. It was after I.O. They did not announce it at I.O. as the way they did it the year before. So maybe this is something that we're going to see now. With all of the leaks going in with the Pixel 6 and the 6 Pro, I think a lot of people just kind of glanced over the 5A, and although the 5A may end up being the one that's coming up very soon. So we'll have to see how things go. I use a PC too. Oh yeah, see, no, again, so a lot of people, depending on the experience, but I'm not sure if it's something to do with the microphone gain. Like I said, it's just a different headset with a different mic. One is wired, one is wireless. So it's maybe something on my PC. I'll have to figure it out. So Akshat is asking is, why would Samsung be making a 14.5 inch tablet? If they're making a tablet that's that large, I think it's going back to their original big Galaxy Tab that they made a long time ago on AT&T in the US. So this isn't the first time. They've had large format tablets. And I think those are maybe more intended for consumers or prosumers that are running somewhat of a business, or designers. It's not generally made for everybody else. I mean, the 10.5 or the 10.7 inch, the one that I have, the tab one here, works perfectly fine. There's no, I think that's the format you want a tablet anyways. It needs to be decent enough to be able to enjoy content, but not big enough where you can't carry it without its own carrying case. And 14.5, that's pretty large. We'll have to see. Let's see here. Devin Davis, Joe. Let me see here. I gotta bring up some more stuff. Okay, so here, yeah, let's talk a little bit more about the updates here. So the wallpapers are the biggest thing. Let's go ahead and see if we can bring this up. I should turn this guy up so we can actually do some top-down options. So here, oh, I forgot this one is here. Wallpapers. I'm gonna jump back here. And we're going to jump into wallpapers and My Life Super Wallpapers. So here we are. So, and let's see how we're going to be able to do it. So we're going to bring this guy down. Okay, let's switch over. Ooh, fancy. No. So this is the one we looked at before. This is called the Snowy Peak one, and it's available already and it's pre-installed. There is an update to it. I can go ahead and install it. The other one here is there's Faraway Rings. I'll go ahead and download that as well. There's Home. And then the Red Planet, which I think we had that before, but I think they updated now to work. So essentially it goes from the always on display. So let's go ahead and turn it off. So it goes from the always on display to turning it on to the normal display. So let's go ahead and swipe that away. And then when you unlock the device with the fingerprint sensor, in theory, it brings you down to this. And if you lock it, it takes you back into this. So it's a continuation of a lock screen. Now, mind you, if you end up having a lock screen wallpaper that is a video, like the typical way that I usually have it on my phones, it doesn't work in that format. This needs to be basically where you're using the exact same setup on all of them. So to get into wallpapers, we'll jump into wallpapers again. We'll go to My Wallpapers, Standard Wallpapers, and then there's a section here for Super Wallpapers. So we'll click that option, and I'll give it a second. It's still downloading. So let's go ahead and hit Geometry. So I'll give that a second to download. Is it going to download? I wanted to show you that. That one looks like looks really, really nice. The way the aesthetics at least look like. By the way, this is the charger, the USB-C charger, the USB-C plug charger. I think this is a UK style plug with the USB-C to USB-C for the Honor Magicbook Pro. We'll talk about that in a little bit. And yeah, it's taking forever. Let's see here. Any of them are going to download? Are we going to download? Are we going to do it? Are we? No, maybe. Okay. Well, typically that's where it would happen. So, if there's ever going to be a situation where a system doesn't work, that's what's going to happen. Now, one of the other options by default that's turned on is if you swipe on the left, you have access to the notification side. If you swipe on the right, you have the new notification toggles. So essentially gives you the ability of having both access to, the app drawer by swiping up, notification on one side, and then of course toggles and everything. And the big buttons that we now, actually, if you think about them, they look a little bit more like Android 12 big buttons the way we've had them. So let's do this. And let's do that. Okay. So the other thing that we have in here, if we go under sound and then sound, right? So here, let's say notifications, we can go into the new sound section. I'll give it a second to upload. So here, now we have new sound options available, like rainforest, savanna, Australia, the Arctic. And those are new sound options that you're able to use straight up in here. So let's go ahead and turn that on. See if we can play a few for you guys here. Let's see here. Sounds like the forest. Yeah, so those are some of the options that they did include in the new MIUI 12.5. So it's very interesting to see what they're trying to do. Let me see here. I missed a few other comments here. Okay, TK. Here waiting for the MIUI 12.5 on my Mi 9. Just got MIUI 12.0.5. So that's the main update that you have. Let me see here if we can bring it up and see which ones are currently running in beta. So you're talking about, hold on, I missed the comment. It was right in front of me. And Mi 9. The Mi 9 is, yeah, so the Mi 9, the Mi 9 is currently in beta. So they're working on getting it. So MIUI 12 stable, I think you received that already. But the 12.5, I think, is probably still in beta, and that's why we haven't seen that update yet. There is a link in the description if you guys want to check it out for your specific model. So you can definitely check that out there. Just one. Just got one thought. Let me see here real quick. I assume form factor is only. Oh, the main difference is the form factor. Windows doesn't support AAC codecs, but it supports aptX as far as the audio. So should I prevent from buying headphones that don't have aptX? For best experience, that's going to be the solution to go with, obviously, your headphones. If you're thinking of using them with your PC, I'd recommend getting a gaming headphones or something intended for a PC, not just a standard pair of headphones. Because if you're thinking of as one that works with kind of across everything, Soundcore actually makes some really decent earbuds. The earbuds here. Still one of my favorite ones, even though they've released many other updates later on. These are the Soundcore Liberty Air 2 Pros, the Liberty Air, the Liberty 3 Pros. My mistake. So these guys, they're very small, very nice, wireless charging, great case, USB-C. And they do support aptX on them as well. So if you're thinking about something like that, that should work pretty nicely. Although if you're using an iPhone, I'm assuming that's why you're worried mostly about AAC. You want to make sure that you're getting a pair of headphones that supports both. Sony's will support LDAC, and that's going to be by default, but that's typical to Sony headphones. And you're probably not going to find it on many headphones. The price kind of goes up the more codecs support that you find, especially on the higher end models. So hopefully that helps there. So no, okay. So Vasikos is asking, did MIUI 12.5 finally bring desktop mode? So they have something called MIUI Plus, and it's not really a desktop mode; it's more of a desktop connection mode. And what it essentially allows us to do is to wirelessly connect our smartphone to the PC in the same house, and be able to share images and content between the phone and the actual the desktop PC. So it's MIUI Plus. That's the new feature that came in with 12.5. And the main requirement, or at least the way it works, it's like, I would say basically the way Samsung's desktop mode works. It connects over Wi-Fi and it syncs the notification over, and you can also share content between. So you can basically browse through, get images and get content off your smartphone directly from the PC. Now, I use other apps that do the same thing, and I haven't had a chance to check out MIUI Plus yet. But I think that's the only thing that they added. They did not include a desktop mode like what they have with the foldable, the Mi Mix foldable one. That one's primarily, I feel like, the only one that has desktop mode yet already because of the form factor. So I'm hoping that we will see something like that, kind of like a DeX experience, or maybe like EMUI desktop as well for Xiaomi. They're definitely overdue for something like that. Let me see here. There's the Air 2 Pros as well. Yes, the Air 2 Pros are very nice, and they're a slightly different form factor. It's more of the standard AirPod style, so we have like the piece kind of coming down. I feel like these just for me have a better fit. Maybe that's the other thing, but the bass on them is a little bit better. I still feel like they still run better. So it's a combination. Literally, if I'm running exercising, I'm using the 3 Pros, and if I'm using them around the house and just doing some work, I'm using straight the Q35. Both, I feel like the sound stage is set very nicely. You're able to get it really good on the mids and lows for some nice bass EDM, not overpowered, but definitely clean, crisp audio on that. And then highs are definitely very optimized. And there's different settings in the EQ for the app where it gives you the ability of kind of like tuning them for the music that you're listening to. So Soundcore for what they offer, they have a lot of options and a lot of I would say. So it's basically a lot of options for us to pick, headphones at the price range that we want. I think that's what I was trying to say, and my mind was kind of escaping me. Okay, so here, actually, it's asking is, should I get the XM4s or wait for Black Friday and get AirPod Maxes for $400? So here's the thing. It depends on the ecosystem and it depends on the audio experience that you're going for. Sony's ecosystem is much more advanced and is much more tunable than Apple's ecosystem right now. So even though you can get a good pair of headphones, you have to understand the experience that you're looking for and what you're going to get out of them. Sony is known for good AirPods and headphones, or in-ear earbuds. So they've had them for multiple years. AirPods there's nothing wrong with AirPods, but I would say at the end of the day, the AirPod Maxes for me did not fit the price that they were offering them for us, but they also didn't give us all of the options to customize. There was a very limited amount of EQ settings that you could do within the settings tab. And I think till that happens, I will always recommend a Sony over an AirPod Maxes, purely because you can tune the experience on the Sony to be exactly the way you want it. And I feel like at the end of the day, you're not getting the full benefit of the music the way it's been played if you can't at least tune it, because not everybody's ears are the same. You need to tune the music so that you're able to enjoy it to your ears. So I would always say that for sure, definitely. So TK, you have forced desktop mode on Android 12 beta yet? So with the devices that I have, at least on the Pixels, because I haven't been able to install it on the other ones, we don't have that yet. No, because Pixels don't support HDMI out. So we don't have a way of forcing it. OnePlus and Oppo did push out a beta, and I think they also pulled it out very quickly. And I can double check and see if they've changed that. But as of 2 days ago, hold on, Android 12 OnePlus. Here we are. As of 2 days ago, it was still pulled off of their website. And I think it was cited due to some concerns with issues. So here, Android 12. Actually, hold on. Let me just go. And then it says get the beta. So I'm going back to the site just to double check and make sure if they did reissue the OnePlus 9. Let me see here. Okay, so Android 12. No. So the OnePlus 9 and OnePlus 9 Pro were the only two that were supported, and both at the beginning they had them available, and they said it was not available for US installers. And then now, specifically on their site, it says links were removed temporarily based on user feedback. Although they did leave the revert process on how to go back to Android 11 from Android 12. And let me double check real quick. I want to see if Xiaomi kind of is in the same boat a little bit. So Mi 11 and Mi 11 Ultra are supported on this thing. Users have to swipe up before you begin. Let me double check here. And then Mi 11, Mi 11i, Mi 11X Pro are also some of the other options that they've supported on MIUI 12. That's the next version. But when it came down to Oppo, for mistake, Oppo was also doing the exact same thing. They removed it. And I'll give it a second to load. Let me see here real quick. Okay, this is not loading. I'll give it a second there. Okay, let's hydrate. Crapmosh tank. Okay. As I'm waiting for this, let's bring up the conversation. Okay. How often do you change your phones and why? Sorry, before we go too far, upgrade. Okay, I take that back. So it looks like Oppo is still back. They have it for the FX3 Pro for Taiwan, Australia, Singapore, New Zealand, and Switzerland edition. And they have the different version. Essentially, model number CPH2173 is the only one that they're supporting. And those links seem to be actually available still. So let me just double check and see here. Does it? It does. Okay. So Oppo's back. But it seems like OnePlus is not. But again, Oppo is only available for specific markets. It's not given it to everybody, so we'll have to see. And then, of course, Ranesh is just kind of adding to it. That's exactly what it was. It was actually bricking a lot of devices. And it was causing a lot of problems. And specific region-specific devices, which is interesting because in theory, the hardware should be the same, but that was something that we didn't get. But to go back actually to go to, I think it was a Crabmos tank. Hopefully I'm saying that correctly. I typically review phones, and I do have some devices that get sent to me on loan to be able to try out. So I typically change phones. The beginning of this year is just not a really good way to kind of experience it. But if you had to kind of look at it on average, I change phones once a week, comparing on what I'm looking for. But I do typically run two phones. I don't run one phone at the same time. So I have two devices that I'm running. And like an example would be, there are devices that I use that are sometimes on Wi-Fi. Like when I was showing you guys with the Mi 11 Ultra, although my SIM card is not in it anymore, I still use it because of the cameras. So it's a smartphone experience that for me, it's more on Wi-Fi because I'm not necessarily needing it to be on the internet all the time. But I love the cameras. I love the experience that we get there. So I typically change purely because of the review process. And I think I need to basically, sometimes I also do jump back on devices or go back to devices I haven't used for some time to be able to get that, the experience. How has the update been? For me, the Mi 11 and the Mi 11 Ultra are both great smartphones. Again, Snapdragon 888, great experience. But the MIUI 12.5 was what I was waiting for, primarily because the new features for the camera, which they touted, and we saw a lot of information on Twitter, but it was also the ability of using the back sensor, the back display for more than just pictures. So that was one of the other options. So hopefully that helps. Matt Tyler's in the chat. Good morning. Welcome back, Matt. Hope you're doing well. We talked about you a little bit earlier about how, we play Call of Duty, and I'm just not going to talk about the embarrassing stuff, mostly about me, but not you guys. Vendant is asking is actually a good question here. So what do you prefer? Do you prefer Android or iOS? My personal preference is Android. I don't have anything against iOS. I think both ecosystems are capable of providing us an experience of using a smartphone and being connected to a smart world very respectively in their own ways. I like the way Android provides me the experience into how I can customize my device, and I can also modify it if I want to, beyond just necessarily cosmetics, changing a launcher and so on, which I also appreciate. I like installing a custom launcher. I like custom icon packs. I like custom keyboards. A lot of things that are slowly starting to show up on iOS have been on Android for years that we've been able to enjoy. And primarily, basically, the ability of actually using them with like desktop experiences. We have a higher refresh rate, more higher quality displays. I mean, if nothing else, we have the Sony Xperia Mach 3 that's coming up hopefully in the next few months that will be featuring a 4K 120 hertz refresh rate display. That's a 4K display on a phone. And we're talking, seriously, a smartphone that fits in your hand. This is the Xperia 1 Mach 2. And it's essentially the same panel, kind of, except that it runs at 120 hertz. This one runs at 160. But the main experience is that you're still able to get a lot more options. And again, nothing against iOS. I think Apple has been improving slowly their technologies and their displays. And I feel like generational upgrades are not exactly a very big upgrade anymore. They're primarily like minor updates. So if I have to recommend to somebody, I would say, what are you comfortable with? And let's go from there. If they've been using an iPhone and an iPhone for the longest time, I won't recommend an Android, mostly because that's a comfort zone situation. And if they're using an Android, then I can go in and explain the different options that you have in the Android ecosystem. Definitely a lot more options, but again, it depends on what you're looking for. But for me, it will be Android. Matt Tyler, I missed the stuff. Okay, so I see here. Matt is gonna mess with me. He keeps changing his icon, so I didn't even see that it was there. Yes, I said a lot of nice things about you, a lot of bad things about how things have been going for me on Warzone, but definitely for sure. Davin Davis is saying, TK, I prefer Windows Mobile 8. Yes, the classics. But I'm one of the dinosaurs in the room. You know what? Windows Mobile had a lot of functionality, and I felt like Continuum and some of the new options that they were going with at the end before they closed it down were still going to be some things that we have today. And we still are missing some major core features. But the reality at the end of the day is we need devices that can function, that can really utilize the full power of our smartphones processors. We have very powerful processors, regardless of which phone you're getting in the last 1 to 2 years. The 845, the 55, the 65, even the 888 are very strong processors that you can actually run a desktop experience. Running a device that connects to your PC or connects to a Nextel and converts over to a laptop is very nice. I think Samsung has one of the biggest ecosystems when it comes down to DeX that they mention a few times during their announcement, but they don't really give it a lot of attention anymore. I'm glad that we no longer need wires or specific docks to use it. We can actually do wirelessly as well as connected. But the main thing that I really like about what they have there is the fact that it's a fully vetted system that you can use. Nextel can turn your laptop into a fully functional, basically a DeX experience. And actually, most MHL adapters now, if you connect them, you actually can still get DeX to run. You just have to go into the setting and activate it, and it works very nicely. I've done it on external displays as well. And I also like DeX on PC, which enables us to actually have it's almost like a VM, a virtual machine that runs DeX in there. So for sure. According to the, according to me, the whole idea of ecosystem is flawed, as it actually restricts people's choices. So very much so, and inadvertently, I think every company is guilty of this if you think about it. At the end of the day, everybody wants to sell all the services that the consumer basically finds everything they need with them. They don't want you to go find something that you need from somebody else. Services, products, integrated things, anything relating to smartphones and technology. And Apple's actually, I would say, the number one, I would say, contender there in there because of the, nothing like say call it, and I've heard people call it like the walled garden and so on. But the Apple ecosystem, once you're in it, okay, if you get Apple HomeKit, you get a smartwatch, an Apple Watch, you get an iPhone, and you get get smart lights and so on, and then you get your your PC and so on, everything Mac, and it is just basically the Mac life. It's hard to change. It's hard to shift over from that because you're relying on those services like iMessage and all of that things. I feel like a lot of people feel like they're stuck in it when they even consider, like if they even want to change their smartphone, they're like, well, I'll lose iMessage. I won't be able to get that. I won't be able to FaceTime with everybody because FaceTime is a purely thing that works on Apple devices. Those are things that you have to kind of keep in mind, that it is built in, but it is restrictive. I'm with you. It's something that we have to be aware of at the end of the day, that you have choices, you have decisions to make when you're purchasing, and don't always accept what is the first thing that comes up in front of you, because 9 times out of 10, there's so much more options, and sometimes even better options if you keep looking and find some of the other areas that you can. Xiaomi makes a very well integrated smart home appliance system. Actually, they're very big in those. I actually have a smart air purifier in the office. I didn't even realize they made air purifiers that are smart. But lights, switches. They even make a little robot that comes in with some automation in there. So there's a lot of things to be said and a lot of options available on us for us, of course. Agree. Okay, hold on. So Khalil, Khail Chang. Hopefully I'm saying that correctly. Greetings all. I have a Mate 30 Pro. Anyone looking forward for Harmony OS? I might stick with Android at the moment for sure. So Harmony OS is supposed to be at the cusp of it. In a couple of days or so, we're going to be seeing the official release or announcement of Harmony OS as Huawei's first. Well, take that back. It's not its first OS. It's been demonstrated to run on their televisions before, so we've seen it work. But this is basically where they're going to start running it on smartphones. They're getting to the point now where they're pretty behind when it comes down to updates. Most Huawei devices, actually all of Huawei devices, are still running Android 10.0. Even though they have EMUI 11, they're still running Android 10. They're not on 11, and they cannot upgrade to 11. And of course, with the upcoming Android 12 release that's coming up, Huawei is also another step behind on that one. So they're forced to actually have their own solution, since it doesn't seem like the situation is getting fixed quickly for them to be able to go back and be able to use Android and upgrade with that. Now, Honor, the company that we're going to talk about in a little bit, the Honor Magicbook here. Honor was what used to be a subsidiary of Huawei, has shifted, and now they're using Android. So they're basically shifted out. They're using smartphones. They're starting to build smartphones on their own. They're becoming their own company. They just announced, I saw somewhere where there's an announcement of the 788 chipset that they're going to be using it on the brand new Honor 50. That's going to be coming up in the next month or so. So it looks like Honor is starting to shift and basically deviate on that. And then hopefully we'll start seeing because I haven't seen them release a global device yet on their own. I want to see if they're able to release with Android 11. So that's the biggest thing for us. They've been using Android 10. They were on EMUI 11, or what they used to call MagicUI, their version of EMUI on Honor devices. So Honor likes to use the word magic in their devices, hence this laptop is actually called the Magicbook Pro. So you'll kind of get the naming there. But I would probably say, yeah, I would wait a little bit before we jump on Harmony OS. First thing we want to make sure is the compatibility of apps. Now, if I remember correctly, it should run Android apps natively, meaning you should be able to sideload applications. If you're using, I'm assuming they're going to put their Perl search engine in there. But the question would be, again, still compatibility and then security, like applications that require authentication. Will they work the same way? So we'll have to see how the announcement goes on, but I probably will be, I'll wait a little bit before you run it on your main device. That's going to be something that a lot of us will probably want to make sure to keep an eye out for. Let me see here. I think I jumped in real quick here. Will you get Huawei device to do some coverage on Harmony OS? So if I'm not mistaken, I still have, I think if I'm not mistaken somewhere, I still have the last generation Huawei smartphone. I think it was at the Mate 40 Pro. I just don't have, I don't know if it's going to be part of that list. I'm hoping it is. And I will definitely be installing. I think it's right here. Nope, that's... when you have too many. So here, yeah. So my hope essentially is that the Mate 40 Pro will be supporting it. So that's, if not, I'm going to have to reach out and see if I can get a smartphone that does come out with it. Yeah, I definitely want to be able to provide some coverage on that as well. I thought they were going to be, sorry, let me see here. So Jimmy Fire Dragon said, I thought they were going to use the 888 for the Honor 50 series. There's multiple versions of the Honor 50. So it's not the Honor 50 specifically. Remember, there's the 50 and there's probably going to be the 50 Pro. And there may also be even the 50 Lite. So I'm not sure which one it will be because the way they announced it, they said it's part of the Honor 50 series. So typically, if you remember, Honor always released 2 to 3 variants of the phone. There's the Lite, the Standard, and the Pro. So more than likely, the Pro will be the one running the 888 if they're able to push to that level, pricing and everything like that. And then I probably imagine the Standard one would probably be the one that's one of the 7 series, or even the Lite, depending on what they want to go. I would imagine more the Standard model. Lite, I wouldn't imagine giving it the best 7 series processor and calling it a Lite. That'd probably be more straight. So hopefully that makes sense. Oops. Geeky Nassim, hey man, good morning. Hey, well, good afternoon. Sorry. Hey Geeky, want to know your opinion about the Pixel exclusive features. Is it so embarrassing for the non-Pixel users who are paying this much still isn't getting those lovely features? So there's a little bit of, we kind of jump back into the whole ecosystem, right? So Pixels are obviously Google's products, right? So you have to think of them as a company that makes not just Android in the sense of the way we use Android, but in a sense, they're using their platform, the Pixel platform, to push certain features that their devices can do. So, featured releases and so on, all the way, initially they release on Pixel, but some of them will come out unless they're hardware specific. It's hard for me to kind of justify because at the end of the day, Samsung does the exact same thing. They release certain features that only run on their devices. Oppo does it. Xiaomi, OnePlus, every OEM does it. And it's something to keep in mind that, and even if Google releases a specific feature, it doesn't mean it translates well to other devices. So I feel what you mean, and I understand where sometimes we get new features on Pixel devices, and Pixels are not sold in India or in the Middle East, and so those things we typically don't have a way of getting there. At the end of the day, it's no different than any other OEM because if you have to think of Pixel as its own part, as its own arm of Google, not just because they use Android, because they don't actually dictate how Android is put together. So features that come there are made for that line of devices so that people are interested in it. The same way Samsung puts a DeX into their systems where nobody else can use DeX on any other phone or any other systems like that as well. Sorry. Getting notifications in the middle of the chat. I always worry about getting a package delivered. So for sure. I do want to say, hold on a second. I think I if I'm not mistaken. Okay. Aljosa, Aljosa, thank you very, very much for the super chat. The MIUI 11 Ultra or the Find X3 Pro for everyday carry on if you had to pick. Ooh, that's a tough one. Okay. So first, thank you very much for the super chat. And I like both smartphones. I like both camera ecosystems, and the form factor on both of them looks very nice. Obviously, the Mi 11 Ultra is a little bit heavier because of the form factor, because it's just more top heavy. They both have some nice features. I feel like from an overall kind of well-rounded package, I still like the Find X3 Pro primarily because of the color science that comes with the cameras. I'm leaning more towards the GN2 sensor on the Mi 11 Ultra. Once we get that full feature, the ability of using that external display, I think that at that point will kind of carry over. So in the short term, I would say from a creator standpoint, I think the Mi 11 Ultra is providing us a really good experience. There's strong cameras, very good sensor. The camera experience is going to get even better. We have a display that enables us to actually use the best camera on that smartphone and use that for everything we want to do. The wide-angle lens is also really nice. The FX3 Pro is definitely very much Oppo, and of course with all of the ecosystem customizations that you get there, and you get that the microscopes lens in there. So that's also another. They kind of have their own little experiences. But as far as general images and processing, they're very comparable. Battery life is also very comparable. Both have fast charging, fast wireless charging. Although the Mi 11 Ultra has faster wireless charging if you get the Xiaomi charger. So there's always going to be a little bit of give and take. And I have both. It's hard for me to kind of pick one over the other. But I would probably say you have to find the features that make sense to you and pick the one that fits you. You're not going to be disappointed with either of them. Both don't have a great experience, the best experience on the front camera. It's always going to be on the back sensors, and the mirror finish that's on the Find X3 Pro make it easy for you to kind of see yourself. But of course, having that second display here with the large sensors on the back is just something to be said. I know it's not exactly the answer you were looking for, like kind of like a definitive one or the other. I think it's going to end up coming down to preference. Also, size. I think the Mi 11 Ultra is a little bit bigger and heavier. So if that makes any concern difference for you, definitely make sure to check that out. I do apologize. I saw it, and then I hit the notification thing. The way the comments go here with at least with StreamYard for me, if I click it even ever so slightly, it jumps all the way to the brand new one. So I miss a whole bunch, and I remembered seeing it. So for sure. So let me see if we can skip through without jumping all the way to the end. Let me see here. Okay. Okay, I think here. So I found Gigi Nassim is in there. I think Davin Davis. Okay. So here, Davin Davis is jumping back. TK, my sister was a serious Windows user, and then she went over to Mac life. She's not going to switch back as she's stuck, but likes likes Apple services. It's very. I mean, so with the ecosystem conversation aside, that's something that you'd kind of accept at the end. There is obviously a lot of appeal for something to know that a new device or a new gadget that gets released from Apple will not only sync, connect, integrate, and work perfectly with other Apple devices the way they are intended, and that's because of the inclusiveness of the system. So you get very comfortable. You get a pair of AirPods. You open up the container. You open up the case for it, and then all Mac or iOS devices in the nearby vicinity will ask you to pair it. It's just I definitely understand and appreciate why people use iOS. I don't have anything against it. My approach with Android devices is just the flexibility and the availability of so many more options. I've used iPhones as a smartphone, but not as my daily driver. It was primarily my day job phone. The phone I use for my day job. And I think it works fine for those applications. I just, but I don't, typically do much on my work phone other than work stuff, email, responding things, and it can do more. I'm not trying to say it can't. Just for me, the use for those, we don't typically have that much more. It's just, that's the selection of devices that my company decided to go with. So with Google finally launching Fuchsia, this is the operating system. What do you think their long-term plan is with this particular OS? I think it's the community build. They're trying to get it to be more community built, and trying to. I mean, my hope at the end of the day is a combination of, at least at some point, having it basically become a unified system that works across different platforms. Right now, with Android and Chrome OS, we have these two parallel efforts that are going on. Chrome OS benefits from Android because we have the Google Play Store, and now we can install Android apps, but we don't have a way of benefiting from Chrome OS on an Android device as a desktop mode. It's a missed opportunity. Project Fuchsia is going to be something that is coming up in the future that my hope essentially is that maybe brings a unification between the two ecosystems. Right now, they're building it. They're trying to get some support, some inputs from developers to try to help build it and make it a stronger ecosystem so that they can actually start using it more mainstream. That's one of the main things I think that we're still waiting to see what happens with Project Fuchsia. It's not a ready state yet to be. And I hope it does actually culminate into something that we can actually start using on our devices. Will you get Huawei? Okay, so I think Davin Davis, I think we already talked about that one. Sorry, I'm actually catching up. 10:46. Oh, wow, I'm 10 minutes late on comments. Okay, let me see here. TK, Davin Davis, yeah, it's good phone. I got mine on AliExpress. It's a Chinese version. For sure, for sure. Okay, Geeky Nassim. Oh, wait, am I going backwards? Or maybe, okay, maybe Geeky Nassim posted the comment twice. Let me see. You will get it before me since mine is the P40. Yes. If there is a beta, that's my goal. I mean, my goal is to be able to get on that list as soon as possible. I think I would prefer. So Dominic Wong, hey man, how you doing? Says, I think I would prefer installing a custom ROM than using Harmony OS. BlackBerry tried to support Android apps with their own OS, but the performance was very, very poor. So I'm with you. If you have the option, and first, if you have your device unlocked and you're actually already running on a custom ROM, you're probably already ahead of the curve because you're probably already on Android 11 at this point. That's one thing to be said. But if you do have the option, if you're considering going either custom ROM or Harmony OS, I think if you're comfortable installing a custom ROM and making sure to maintain it and updating it and finding the right combination for your system, I totally would recommend that because at the end of the day, you're more in control of what's going on your smartphone, and you're able to customize the experience there. What Harmony OS is trying to provide is a solution or a third-party solution to Android and iOS. We used to have Windows Mobile, and Windows Mobile was basically was three ecosystems, right? We had Android, iOS, and Windows Mobile. Unfortunately, Windows Mobile is out the door, and that's something that's been on. We haven't had other OSs or ecosystems come and take over. Tizen from Samsung was somewhat of trying to take over, and I think at some point we started seeing some devices. I think, if I'm not mistaken, there are some devices that Samsung sells that do run Tizen as an operating system, but they're running the One UI on top of it, so you wouldn't even know. So Harmony is providing us that experience. We don't know exactly how it's going to look. It may even look just the same exact way as One UI, EMUI on other devices are. And if that's the situation, most people won't even realize what they're going. The main thing that I would probably say though is compatibility with other apps, compatibility with other devices, and security on your device. That's going to be the primary reason where people had concerns. Not just the older version of Android, which I think Huawei is trying to circumvent by doing this. It's also the ability of doing something, the ability of updating and using the apps on your ecosystem. Question is, will other companies start using it? That's going to be something that actually for us to keep looking at, because I would envision Huawei not making this purely for them, that they're trying to make an alternative for their areas in case there's ever a concern. And it's something to keep in mind. Is it potentially the next custom ROM custom operating system that becomes global at some point? Could that be? It's possible that that's on Huawei's radar. Let me see here. I think. Hey, Dan is in the chat. Guys. Hey, Dan, welcome. So I didn't think he was going to make it. He and I kind of have a cross live stream. Okay. He is my other partner. He's my other partner in crime when it comes down to Apex Legends. Dan and I have been playing. So coincidentally, for some reason, there's a perfect timing from when he goes on live. Okay, he does like a 3 to 4 hour live session in the morning. My time in the morning, it's noon time or so his time. And he pays basically about 4 hours worth of Apex Legend. And this week, a couple of days or so, I was able to jump on and play with him. And we were able to get our mics running at the end. Josh, if you're listening, same problem with him. But I did end up getting my mic working in the game with Dan in the game, but I couldn't jump on his Microsoft server, which I think we still need to kind of work on that. But definitely very nice to see Dan is in the chat in there. Oops, I saw something and then it jumped. Windows Phone. Let me see here. Shout out to Gary the fireman for being a legend and volunteering to help save lives and make a difference. Absolutely. Always appreciated anything you guys can do, and anything you know that anybody else is able to do to help other people, that's always going to be the best way to do it. You want to be able to participate and help others be able to enjoy their life, and if you're able to participate by volunteering, then that's a great way to do it. And here, man, of course. Here, guys, Dan is just messing with me. No, dude, it's fun. It's fun, and he plays a lot of other games too. I've seen Rocket League there. I've seen I want to say what is it called? F1. You play F1 a little bit later on as well. I don't know if you were, I don't catch those streams, but for sure. Joe Hickey saying, here, man, hashtag Gary, the legend, the fireman, the man himself. Love you guys, Gary, always. Greg will always be team custom ROMs. I pretty much can almost 90% say, and I'll say the same. It's something, it's something that you need to, I think once you start dabbling in custom ROMs, once you start dabbling into rooting, modding, or unlocking your bootloader, there's something to be said about the fun things that you can find that you can do to your smartphone that weren't even possible before because of limitations that were set. Back in the day when I started doing ROMs and just basically rooting and getting into all of those was primarily because at the end of the day, we had devices that had features were released like in specific regions, right? Like you would get the US version that gets this feature, the Asian version gets one, and then custom ROMs started providing us those experiences in a unified area. Then we started seeing the exposed modules that were starting to come out, which enabled us to turn on more power user level customizations into our smartphone that, again, even custom ROMs weren't giving us. But the exposed module used to work with even stock ROMs that were rooted. So essentially, you get a Samsung or something like that that's running TouchWiz or I think early One UI, and then you get exposed running on it. You can now inject new features and even modify existing features to work in a specific way if they were limited. A lot of people also use like the Gcam mods to be able to get better performance out of their cameras. There's a lot of different things. It does take a little bit of time. It does take a lot of reading. So make sure if you're comfortable, if you have some time, definitely check it out. XDA is literally one of the best options. If you Google the word, the brand of your phone, and at the end of that search string, type in the word XDA, you'll be able to find a lot of more information about that. So Greg, of course, always, team mod for sure. I like a lot of the stuff with iPhones, but always get drawn back to Android. It's a tough. It's like I said, it's more of a comfort, and it also depends on how you first started. For us, for the most part, like I said, I started with Windows Mobile, went to Palm OS, went to BlackBerry OS, and then jumped on Android. iPhones were there, and I used, and throughout my entire experience with smartphones, I think till the beginning of maybe the iPhone 3. Not the iPhone 2. The iPhone 3 is, I think, when I first 3 and 3. No, 3 is it 3? The 3G. Sorry, the iPhone 3G. That was my initial experience with iPhones as a standard driver, a daily driver smartphone. I never really felt the need, or I never felt that iPhones were doing more for me than Android. And for the most part, I've always continued to kind of use both. My latest iPhone is the 11 Pro Max, then upgrade to the 12 Pro Max. It's not really that much of an upgrade. So for me, it just works, and it is there. Cameras are great when it comes down to video, although on stills, I still prefer pixels. So there's a little bit of a back and forth, I would probably say. Let me see here. Dominic jumping in back in there. Windows Phone Doodle. Doodle Xenos. Okay, so Samsung Dex is great. Can you use Dex interface on the Tab S4 or One UI interface for two launchers? The Tab S7 Plus has wireless Dex launcher, and One UI just great all around choice for a launcher experience out of the box. So that's true. The Tab S7 Plus for the most part, I think has the best implementation of Dex because, as you're saying, not only can you use Dex wirelessly, meaning I can project it to a TV, you can also use Dex on the actual tablet, running it on the actual tablet. So it becomes the UI experience there. But you're also able to connect it to, let's say, an external display and still get Dex running on there as well. So there's a lot of different options for you to be able to benefit. And we have to appreciate that it's Samsung's experience with Dex has been evolved over many, many years. This is not something that just started. They initially pioneered the first split screen functionality that we now enjoy on all of our Android devices, that before Google implemented that as a native feature. So that was part of the original Note smartphones that everybody used to love, the ability of running two apps simultaneously with split screen. So coincidentally, one of my favorite mods on the original Note 2 and Note 3 was an expose mod that allowed me to actually add all of the apps on the Samsung ecosystem or any app in the app drawer to show up in split screen, because Samsung at the time released it with only, I think, a small handful of apps, and you can only do it with specific ones. And then everybody was like, "Well, what about my favorite app? What about Twitter? What about all that other stuff?" So there was expose modules that enables us to actually mod those options and enable them by default. So again, one of the reasons why we mod. Rolnando's in the chat, man. Good morning. Good morning. Hey, man, making some noise over here on Reddit. Oh, yeah. Speaking of which, if you guys haven't had a chance to check it out, there is a very, very nice subreddit managed by Juan Carlos Bagnal, which a buddy of ours here on the channel is, of course. It's called Glowing Rectangles. It's r/Android/glowing rectangles. And it's a great place to find a lot of content from creators that you may have never heard from, but would definitely be surprising you. And it's community based. So a lot of us are not only sharing, but also upvoting. So if you like something and you see it, upvote it, give it some love. And of course, people will be able to get some more, some more, I would say, eyeballs on their work for sure. Let me see what else we have here. My tech review, so true. Oh, man. Okay. So okay. So, Minhaj is saying, is Muhammad is saying, I like how Mi phones have an EU-ROM options, which is more like the official one, but offers you more than the Chinese ROM for global users. So I think this is partially what we have essentially is the approach of where Xiaomi can target their experiences to the markets that they're in. So yes, the Chinese version of the ROM sometimes has features that only make sense in the Chinese market, like certain apps, certain functionalities. And the global ROM, I think the EU model version of it has almost everything that you want, but typically is the last to receive the update. So if you think about it, is Chinese ROMs will get updated faster, sooner than European ROMs, but at some point we'll get all the features. I love how MIUIs are actually have been upgraded in the recent years. Definitely since MIUI 12. Even though when it was running on Android 10, it was still very powerful. I feel like that they took out a lot of the background processes. It's not slowed down anymore, and Android 11 update with MIUI 12 was definitely very nice, and I can't wait to see what else they're able to do, especially since it runs so good. That's just one of those really nicely updated devices. Sorry, guys. Let's see here. Sorry, Davin Davis. Windows. First was Windows Mobile. He started on Windows Mobile, went to Symbian, went to BlackBerry, went to iOS, went back to Windows Phone, then to Android. Is my story, with a massive overlap of using two OSs simultaneously. I think it's a big thing for me. Windows Mobile. So I started using Windows Mobile back when it was basically Windows Mobile 6. Before we went to Windows Mobile as just Windows Mobile on, like I think the tiled experience. If you kind of have to kind of look over. Back with Windows Mobile 5 and Windows Mobile 6, and then I'm jumping over jumping over to Palm OS with Symbian OS, and then going over from there to BlackBerry, because BlackBerry was the next evolution. Everybody had a BlackBerry kind of thing. And then literally I went from a BlackBerry, I want to say the BlackBerry Curve, to the first Nexus 1. And that was my experience. I did have the original Nexus, not the Nexus, oh man, the name is escaping me. The first Android device on the G1, that's what it was. So the T-Mobile G1, which essentially was an HTC smartphone with a sliding keyboard. That I did play with a little bit. I never actually decided to go with it. I went with the Nexus 1, which coincidentally is sitting somewhere in the wall there. Not my original, but a version that I bought back again. I wanted to try it out. So once I jumped on Android and I saw what you can do, the experiences. Now, back then, keep in mind, we didn't even have video. There was just images, right? I mean, you were lucky if you had, there was no front-facing camera. It was all on the back-facing camera, and there was no video capability. It's like the Nexus, I turn it on, I have no video. I can take pictures, and that's it. And it was a really bad 0.3 megapixel, not even a full megapixel camera. So for sure. A friend of mine had a G1. Yes, so the G1 is a classic. There was two versions of it. I think the T-Mobile G1 was the one we knew here in the US, and it was a big event. I think T-Mobile was trying to make a big thing about it at the time, launching the first Android device as a carrier, because no other carriers were carrying Android devices at the time. So there's definitely a lot of good things. HTC. HTC for me. So Dan saying that my first device was an HTC Desire. HTC carried us for quite some time, back from the days of Windows Mobile, like with the HTC Touch. The I want to say the MDA was also one of my other ones, earlier ones. And then there was, I want to say the HTC Slide. I could be wrong on that name, but it was an AT&T in the model. Essentially, they all featured sliding keyboards. So except for the HTC Touch, there was the Touch Pro that came out later with the keyboard. But yeah, HTC. Ah, man, I miss the glory days of HTC. Those were definitely very nice. Um, Greg will always mess with me. I can't find it. So okay. I'll say this. I spent about 2 to 3 hours early today, this morning. I'm seriously trying to clean up some of the stuff in the office. I have a lot of boxes. And I have boxes that I shouldn't be carrying, using or keeping for any reason. Um, I found a couple of little surprises, but unfortunately, none of those were the Nexus 6. I want to get the Nexus 6 up and running and get it running very, very well. Back in the day, back in the day, we had no video. TK 2021, no audio. Oh, oh my God! Shots have been fired, and we're not even in Call of Duty. Okay, we're not even in Call of Duty. Matt is shooting. Okay, yes. Back in the day, no video. 2021, no audio. TK. That's how we do it. I don't know why it's such a crippling issue for me when it comes down to Call. I mean, don't get me wrong. 90% of the time when I'm playing COD or I'm playing, Legends, I'm actually playing by myself. I'm not with anybody that I'm in a conversation. So I don't typically, if I'm on a squad that I'm not playing with, like if it's not Josh, Matt, or Sam, or some of the other guys, because we played together. So Matt and Sam from the Across the Podcast show, we played together before. We have Andrew as well, Fat Produce. Josh Quinones, and of course Dan and I play also on Apex Legends and so on. So I typically don't talk to anybody else unless I'm in a chat with people. So it doesn't bug me as much. So I haven't really had to spend that much time for a solution that works like 90% of the time. When I do jump in on a game with them, like I said, this headset works perfectly fine for 90% of my experiences. Unfortunately, there's that problem, and I need to spend some time on it, and I just have been too lazy, I guess. And so yeah, the audio problem, I think they'll be able to razz me on that one for quite some time. My first smartphone was the Sensation. Okay, I'll take a step back with the Sensation. Okay, so the Sensation had a very unique, and these are very I want to say basically devices that we purchase and that we use have a very strong emotional connection, because when we got them, there was a big emotional connection to them, right? The Sensation was one of the first smartphones to have an entire unibody metal design that the smartphone, inserted into the actual case. In the US, they advertised it because of the camera experience. It was supposed to be really good for moving. There was a whole bunch of different camera options that they designed they focused on. But it was also one of the most sexy devices that I've ever seen. And I don't use the word sexy for too many things, but the Sensation definitely looked very nice. So I had that one, and I haven't been able, I should be able to maybe pick up another Sensation just to have it, to add it to the collection. At this point, I think older smartphones like the Nexus 1, I don't keep them because I'm going to use them. It's really intended to be more of a memorabilia. I mean, I picked that one up for about $35, obviously used. So it's more intended for the device to be, basically a part of a collection. So the Sensation was also another one. Bits of Ben is saying, I like to play. They're playing Streets of Rage 4. I haven't checked that out. And then Sonic Menace is in there as well. And Mania. Dan jumping in. Streets of Rage 4 is good. Soar 2 was my childhood as well, of course. Oh man, always. TK Bay, just a reminder that we are an hour into the live stream, and I got the no audio issue with my Soundcore. I've got the no audio. Oh, okay, interesting. I'll say this, and probably say this maybe easily, but I was using them for like 3 hours this morning, no problem. Maybe if you can help me understand what the audio problem is. When you say no audio, meaning it just doesn't connect, or it's having problems maybe within the settings on your Bluetooth that you need to turn on media audio. So let me know, Jimmy. I'm not sure why. I haven't heard actually. I'll be surprised, but I haven't actually heard of any issues with the Q35s yet. Yes, HTC were great in developing phones for both Windows and Android. They made some great devices and raised the bar. Very unfortunate that what's happening to them right now. Which again, they're not gone. They're not totally out of the conversation. It's just their devices now are more. I think they're targeting, or at least their approach to smartphones is different. Right? They obviously have more involvement in their HTC Vive department. There are other devices and other things that they focused on. Um, and it's weird because they played such a big role at one point that for them to be in where they are right now. But the desire for sure was one of their biggest things. They used to have I forgot the name of it in the US. They released one on the Sprint that was a 3D camera and a 3D display on a smartphone. They were also dabbing into 3D displays once that fad was kind of going through everything. Um, Gary's saying is my Nexus 6 only charges up to 85%, but I still love that beast. Dual front-facing speakers all the way for life. Yes, no, definitely. The Nexus 6 was a behemoth of a Nexus. This actually, if anything, is closest to the Nexus. I want to say the 6 was the Nexus 5 was also pretty big, the one that Huawei made for them. But the short answer is yes, large, like it's a big display, stereo speakers, headphone jack, running pure Android, and of course all goodness. And we're able to actually even get Android 11 to run on it now using like a GSI type based ROM. Um, that was that was a lie, TK. Says sexy all the time. Oh my god, I am not going to be able to kind of just jump down this way. So Harmony OS. Shihab Muhammad is asking Harmony OS question, kind of like what's going on. It's going to be announced obviously in the next couple of days. I should be able to get it installed on my Mate 40 Pro, so hopefully get that running and see exactly how it runs. I do have the P40 Pro, and I don't have, obviously the P50 hasn't been announced, so we'll have to see how that goes. I'm also kind of, that's interesting. At this point, we typically have a P50 already, unless I totally missed it. Hold on, let me double check. I'm wrong device. Here it is. P50. P50, still GSM Arena, still talking about it. Phone specific. Okay, so I guess there is a P50. No, I think those are the renders. I could be wrong. I didn't think it was released. I don't think yeah. I could be wrong. Okay, so the P40, sorry, the Mate 40 Pro or the Mate 50, the Mate 40 Pro should be perfectly fine. I think that'll more than likely get Harmony OS. So we'll have to have some coverage on that as well and see how that kind of works out. I would probably say wait a little bit before you jump onto it if you're thinking about it, mostly because of compatibility and just to see how it works. And if anything, I think it's going to be primarily going to be in beta. It's not going to be released full version yet, and in a small list of devices that are supporting it. Why does Twitter and Reddit stutters a lot even when at 120 hertz displays and flagship SoCs? Some of that probably is not due to the apps themselves, more so the caching process that they have. Twitter and Reddit are very heavy in instant access to data. So there's not a lot of static data running in those. So your system is consistently pulling data on and on and on and on and on. So as you're scrolling, the stutter effect isn't due to the fact that your display is having issues or the refresh rate or even the processor. It's just that the data that you're trying to pull just hasn't been cached. So your system is trying to be smart about predicting what amount of data to load. So if you're scrolling a couple of times, and you'll notice after by the third or fourth swipe, you're starting to like, oh, but this little bit of stuttering. That's because it's trying to catch up. If your network connection is not as fast as your refresh rate, then that becomes a little bit of an issue. It's kind of like saying I have the fastest car out there, but I'm limited to drive at 35 miles an hour on a specific highway. So those constraints kind of, it will slow it down. The car can only perform at that level. So I would probably make sure that either your connection is strong or you're on Wi-Fi, and that typically will fix the problem, but it's 90% a caching issue. Twitter and Instagram and even Reddit are very heavy in background processes, and a lot of data needs to be pulled for them to be able to populate in front of you, especially Twitter, because most of those are actually smaller form factors. So you're scrolling, and a lot of that data is just not sitting there. It doesn't, the apps don't typically back up that much data. There are devices that do try to do a little bit more, but again, in typical fashion, it's the weakest link in the chain that typically causes the experience to kind of be slowed down a little bit. Let me see here. Oops, I think I jumped a few. Oh no, here it is. Um, I nearly went to HTC for their early Windows 8 devices when the Lumia and when Lumia never looked back. So once you go Lumia, yeah, exactly. I think, and Juan actually showed us the Lumia, if I'm not mistaken, on the Best of Our Week show a couple of days ago. If you guys haven't had a chance to check that out, the Best of Our Week podcast that Juan and I do put together, he did a quick tour of his office. He's moving into the Gadget Lab 4.0 in the new place, so definitely excited to see the new developments there and what they're having in there. Bob Knorek, hopefully I'm saying that correctly. Sabaho, hey man, hope you're doing well. Actually, no ER. Okay, so okay, here. So Jimmy Fire Dragon is going back into the Q35. He's having a little bit of a problem there. He's saying, I don't hear any audio. So I don't hear you for like 5 to 10 seconds or until I have to go into my settings on the iPad Air 2 and tap the device, and then it fixes the audio. So there seems to be a delay. Okay. I'm not sure if it's something to do with the radio. Uh, are you in the other thing I would probably say is make sure that you're in direct line of sight. I'm not sure how iPads typically do as far as radios when it comes down to non-iOS headphones. So it could be the codec compatibility there and between the two earpieces. But at the end of the day, for me, I mean, I've had it, and I'll caveat that by saying this: I'm using it with an Android device. I usually have my phone here in the studio, and I walk off and go into the living room, go to the backyard, go to the front yard. I can actually go between 10 and 20 feet away from my phone, and my audio stays very strong with the Q35s. The other thing I would probably say is, have you checked to see if you have any updates? Maybe there's an update that is missing that maybe will fix some of the audio concerns. I'll definitely check that out. Let me see here real quick. TK with Mi 11 Ultra Super. Oh man, you forgot to put 5G in there, so it would be the Mi 11 Ultra 5G Super Grand. There'll be a lot of names, man. The Evo 3D. Yes, thank you, Davin. Thank you very much. The HTC EVO 3D was the first Sprint phone that come out in the US with the 3D display. This was around the time, again, I mean, even Amazon put out a phone. It was a big thing for them because they were talking about stereoscopic cameras, the ability of actually using the cameras to measure distances, and there was a whole bunch of things that they focus on. It was a one of a kind. No other device came out with that from them, but yeah, for sure. The Redmi Note 9S. F1. I haven't really seen a lot about information about the Redmi Note 9. Let me see here real quick. Redmi Note 9S, because I've used the Note 10 Pro. So here, Redmi Note 9. Oh, that's the Note 9, not the Note 9S. So okay, I'm trying to pull the info on the Note 9S. Oh, here. It seems like it's a decent smartphone. So here, there's a Redmi Note 9S smartphone. It's a 6.67 inch QHD, full HD plus, 5,000 milliampere. I mean, on paper, it sounds like it's actually pretty decent for the price point. If you think about it, it's a little bit light on RAM. It's only 4 gigs of RAM, but I would probably say the version of MIUI on that, this is not going to be very heavy. So yeah, definitely, if you're thinking about it, and it's a sub $200 smartphone in the US, so I'm imagining that it would be even cheaper depending on the market that you're able to pick it up from. So for sure. I changed my battery on my Nexus. You opened it up, you delaminated the back of the Nexus. Sorry. It's actually a good deal. I forgot, that's one of the other things you could do. If you change the battery, that fixes the charging issue. Battery aging is 90% of the problem, where most people don't realize not being able to charge up the full to 100% after some time. And many more games and fun chats on on their. I see what Matt is doing. Check. So here, Matt saying is check out Twitch for me and Val. So Vale, it's Val, and hardware and hot hardware, and shameless plugs. No, for sure, they've been pulling up a lot of games. Matt and Val have been jumping into a lot of games. Although, again, depending on the timing, we can all jump in sometimes on those. Let me see here. What else we have here? Dominic one. Yeah. What about Nokia? I think we're seeing a few other. Okay. Let me see here. Okay. Let's do this real quick. TK, the P50 got delayed, and all. Yeah, so I think that's what it was. I think we saw a lot of leaks. There was some renders and so on, and if I'm not mistaken, but I know that I haven't heard of it actually company officially coming out. It could be part of the Harmony OS, but it makes sense. I mean, realistically, releasing more and more smartphones that are running 2-year-olds versions of Android. I would delay it a little bit and maybe run it fully with Harmony OS if that's going to be their approach, as opposed to just selling it and trying to get it, where people's main thing are going to be, it's still running Android 10. We can't use 90%. So you don't want those conversations. You want to give a path forward for people so that they can see this and see how it actually competes into their basically ecosystem or lifestyle. Does it fit? So my hope essentially is that we'll see. Yeah, definitely. So the Note 20 Ultra is still the last Note that we've seen so far, since we're not going to have a 21. The Note 20 Ultra is very, very nice, very capable. My wife's using it as her daily driver, so it's very capable, and I think seriously still has a lot of the Ultra types, the Ultra title in there correctly. MST is in there, SD card support is in there, large display, the S Pen support, a lot of the functions in there. Even the new features that we have on the S21 Ultra with the S Pen don't match what's currently on the Note 20 Ultra that came out late last year. So, and of course you have 5G and so on. So I feel like if you're looking for a really good experience, the end of 2020 for us from Samsung, the Note 20 Ultra is still a very good contender. So for sure. Let me see here. Yeah, thank you, Matt. I appreciate it. Sorry about that. So it's weird with the moderation of the channel. So if you guys know, Aditya and Matt are both moderators on the channel, and if I'm not mistaken, I want to say Joe is as well. But one thing to keep in mind is that the comments still show up on my side because it pulls from the system, even though I don't see it. So I appreciate your help, guys. Of course. Rolando's jumping in. Hey TK, have you seen the blooming have you seen the blooming on the new iPad Pro 12.9? I bought one last week, very very nasty, and more when you are in the dark environment. So unfortunately, I haven't seen a lot of that. I haven't been really big. The last iPad I bought was the 10.1, and that was years ago, and it still sits. It literally is still mounted on one of the arms, and I typically don't even turn it on. I use it every once in a while on my Mac, on my Mac PC when I'm doing some work, and I use it as an external monitor. But that is something to keep in mind. I mean, by new Macs having those type of issues, especially in the darker, because you're able to see more of the light bleeding issues, I would definitely be concerned. It may end up just being a bad unit. Have you? I mean, is it possible for you to get it switched? Maybe. Let's see. Davin Davis, they released the 1 series a year later. Yeah, no. Doom, Nexus 6 and Pixel 2 XL are the prides of my phone museum. I can't give my Motorola Admiral away. Rest in peace, Nextel. Man, Nextel, dude. I used to rock a Nextel as well. One of my previous jobs, that was our phones. The two-way radio options in there were for sure very, very nice. Oops, jumped real there. Let me see here. Okay, let's see where we are. Okay, Joey. Okay, so this is a good kind of like a little bit of a break in there between the system here. I do want to show you guys real quick the brand new laptop from Honor that they got a chance to send me over. I want to say thank you very much. Let's see here. Do we have the good view? We'll do a quick walkthrough. Shouldn't take us too long. Let me see here. We have okay. So the laptop we're talking about today, and I'm going to move my mouse a little bit to the right. So here it is. This is the Honor Magicbook Pro. This is the Intel version of it. There's two versions. They're Intel and AMD. They released them this year. This is a 2021 model edition. So you can see definitely a very nice finish. Not the color version. They have a different one that had the blue color tone. So this one just comes in one color. This is the silver model. You can definitely see here very nice offsets. Some basically a straight line offset at the bottom. Another one here on the back. So no basically I would say button style. This is just flat. The speaker grill open for air as well, and of course some more air ventilation in the back. Let me double check here. This is just a serial number. So we're okay. So what we see here essentially, it still says basically Huawei technology. I think this is based obviously before the separation where the hardware was developed, and on the top again Honor. So we'll just do a finger opening. So we'll go one finger up. No, it needs to. So first and foremost, you'll notice large display, very, very beautiful display here. So you'll see here, so obviously today there is a fingerprint scanner here. So I'll just go ahead and put my fingerprint scanner and it unlocks. And of course you get my home screen. This is my own designed wallpaper. The picture isn't mine, but everything else is. So what we're getting here essentially is it's running Windows 10. Let me just do Windows System. So we'll do it. Sorry here. It's not a touch. It's not the touch edition version of this laptop. They did have other ones in the past that do typically have that. So here, so you can see here basically on the setup, it's running the i5 processor. So as far as Windows Home 10 edition, so it's the 10th generation i5 processor. This is the TM, the 10, I think it's the 210U processor. It does have an NVIDIA GPU. It's the MX350 discrete graphic card. We have 16 gigs of RAM. We can see that right there. 16 gigs of LPDDR4 RAM, 512 gig SSD hard drive. It is the Magicbook Pro 2021 edition. Dual fan support, 65-watt charging, Type-C charging, and that's going to be with, if I'm not mistaken here, this is the included charger in the box. Again, USB-C that include. Now, the one I have is a UK style, but I'm sure there'll be different versions depending on the countries it's available. The click pad here, so what we have, the mouse pad is very nice, very large, clicking both right and left, very easy geared to be very portable. We have the front-facing speakers here with the microphone. Oops, sorry. With the fingerprint sensor that's present here. So let's go ahead and let's lock. So what we'll do here, we're just going to say put to sleep. So putting the phone, the laptop to sleep, very simple. And then unlocking it is very, very easy. You just basically push the power button, put your finger on it, and it's going to wake it up and automatically log you into Windows and directly into Continuum. One thing I would probably say that I was hoping that was going to change with the system is that the camera is still sitting in the keyboard. So the experience for this is very much, if you're ever typing and on camera, your fingers are in front of it. So what I mean by this is this. So here, let's go ahead and open up camera. Yeah, I know. So if I'm, let's open up the camera app. Yes, and here. So you can definitely see here, fingers. And if I'm typing here, this is obviously one of the worst positions. Like you can never be typing and on camera at the same time. So the camera is present right there, very small. And again, it gives you the ability of doing video and for conference calling. But if you have the phone or if you have the laptop propped up a little bit higher, it works very nicely. It doesn't open all the way. So here, this is the most that the opening kind of goes through. We have a USB-C charging with a 65-watt charger. We have obviously here an HDMI out, a standard USB type 3.0 USB type A. The camera itself, we'll close it. On the right side, we have two more USB-Cs, and it does actually have a headphone jack. And you can definitely see here the opening for air ventilation. The keyboard style is not a US style keyboard. You'll notice the different format here with the enter, the shift key, the controls, but it fits nicely. It has a good travel as far as the way what we get here. Sounds really nice. And then of course, video kind of looks really good. Overall, it's an i5 processor. It is the Pro Edition, 16 gigs of RAM, and it should be able to handle almost anything you want. I've been testing out the DaVinci Resolve on it, editing some videos in there, ran some benchmarks. I'm probably going to be pushing out a video on this hopefully next week, kind of just going through some of my initial impressions of the brand new, the Magicbook Pro. But again, keep in mind, it does have basically no touch controls. So that's one thing that's not there. But it's a large battery, 65 watt charging and a 56 kilowatt hours. So it's 56 watt hours, basically capacity battery. And it charges very, very fast. I'm trying to see if there was any other kind of specific dimensions that I'm missing here. It's a 1080p panel, not a 4K. It's 100% sRGB. I think sRGB gamma typical value. TUF Rhineland flicker-free certification, and all the USB ports are USB 3.0 with the USB-C being the only one that is standard USB-C, and HDMI out. So hopefully that helps. Sorry, that was my quick kind of like man. So Russ is jumping in, which is very interesting. So here, Russ says, I would never buy a laptop with that kind of camera position. It should always be on the top part of the bezel. And I agree with you. I think when Huawei first introduced this experience, it was unique, right? Because what they ended up doing is they were trying to give us a better bezel-less experience on the display. So they wanted to go bigger on the display and they wanted to kind of give you that experience, but they always realized that for them to be able to go bezel-less, they needed to actually remove the camera. So where do you put the camera when you remove it? The keyboard was about the only place to put it in. So using it over time, and if you're not doing video calls and so on, that's going to be one thing. But if you're ever on a call and you're trying to be productive, that finger conversation kind of happens there. So typically 9 times out of 10, I ended up shutting up my camera by just pressing the button. It turns off my camera automatically since it's the only camera. And then, of course, you can finish up your work and then open up the camera and get back into the conversation. But yes, the placement could definitely be placed in a better place. The other thing I would probably say, though, at the end of the day, I'm not trying to knock it. If anything, 2020 taught us, and even early 2021, where we are right now, is that cameras on laptops are not really going to be the best cameras that we can use. What we are talking on right now is an actual, basically the A7S III from Sony. That's what I use as my camera for video recording, for live chat, for live streaming, and so on. And of course, even video calls when I jump on with calls with other people, because again, the best cameras, unfortunately, are still not part of laptops. The Magicbook Pro is very well-rounded. It has enough RAM and have enough system resources to actually be able to run most things that you want to run on it. It's an i5. Now, it's not an i9, so it's basically, not going to be an i7. But overall performance is going to be decent. Like I said, DaVinci Resolve runs on this. You're able to run, obviously, Office applications, play some light gaming, cloud gaming as well. The NVIDIA GPU that you have in here is nice. It's a discrete graphic card. But it's something to keep in mind that it's not obviously a 1080 or 20 series. It's an MX series. It's intended to be good enough to be able to give us a great experience when you're doing external display. So you can connect this and get up to a 4K resolution there. You can utilize the keyboard connectivity. We don't have touch, but we have a really good fingerprint sensor. It also does support screen mirroring for Honor smartphones and Huawei smartphones. So I can tap my phone on that little tag on the bottom. Let me show you what I mean. And here they're calling it the Honor Magic Link, but essentially it's the Huawei link. Let me switch back one more time. It's this little icon that you see here where it says the Honor Magic Link. So by tapping your smartphone in here with on that spot with the keyboard with an NFC tag turned on, it automatically projects your smartphone over the same Wi-Fi to your laptop, and you're able to share content. Kind of like that MIUI Plus that I was talking to you guys before. But it's, again, something that Huawei has been using for quite some time. Let me see here. Matt Tyler, I like that. This camera is perfectly placed if you want to show somebody what's going up your nose. Like I said, placement is definitely very interesting. Typically, the way I end up holding it 90% of the time is, now you're thinking of it as the level that you saw there, right? It's because kind of like what we use our laptop, right? It's very much flat. But if you open up the camera, let's go ahead and open up here. No, wrong one. And typically what I end up doing is raising the laptop like this a little bit higher. So it kind of gives us more of a straight view. You are more than likely to use this camera correctly. You're going to have to actually step back. You cannot use this camera in the way it is with you sitting at this close of a proximity. So meaning I can't be on the laptop and just tilt the display. There's a functional issue here. To use this, you have to prop it, set it, and then you step away. So in theory, your fingers will never be an issue because you will never be sitting that close to it. If you need to do some work with this type of laptop, you're going to have to get something like this, like a wireless keyboard and mouse, connected Bluetooth-wise, and then use it as a distance, which could be a good or a bad thing, depending on your experience. Under display camera on laptop would be welcomed. I think that's going to be the next level, right? I mean, we saw the Axon 20 last year, late last year, show us initial implementation. Xiaomi did the same thing with their, I think was it the Mi Mix series, where they're starting to put the cameras under display, but that kind of a little bit fizzled away, all right? The Axon 30 doesn't have that. They went back to the old system. I'm not sure if there's some limitation or just that the tech isn't there yet. I'll say that with the Axon 20, though, if the display is off, you're looking at the display straight on or even slightly at an angle, you can see a small darker area where the camera is positioned at the top. It's when you turn it on is that little light, very thin LED panel turns on in front of it, enabling it to be almost invisible, but it doesn't really take it away. So that's something to make sure to keep there. Hopefully that makes sense there. I agree, TK, but the very least, manufacturers should put a decent 1080p quality. Exactly. This is something that I don't understand. It's almost like why we still have 1080p only resolutions on front-facing camera on smartphones. It behooves anybody to make the experience on a webcam on a laptop specifically, where it's supposed to be the camera that you do video calls from it, the camera that you're able to socialize and work through, especially with things that are going up or coming out in the last year or so, that they would have upgraded the camera to be a very good camera. So with you, I'm totally there. There is there's the mini camera here, the tiny that I have up there. That's also a very nice camera for streaming, which I'll be start using that hopefully once I fix my audio on there. Um, oh yeah. So the Joe's jumping in with a really nice one. So here's the question: Is T, what do you think of the new Tab S7 FE? So there's been some leaks and so on going on. The fan edition of Samsung's fan edition devices. I don't know if I'm really like from what I'm seeing right now in the information that we're looking at realistically. I feel like it's a little bit more. It's not. It's a little bit expensive for what it's offering, and maybe that's one. I don't really fully appreciate maybe the configuration. Overall, I think it's something that some people may find it appreciating. They may appreciate the series, the features that are in there. But it always kind of confused me what Samsung's point of view in when they look at things and they consider as the fan edition. Fan edition started with the Note 7 because the Note 7 had a problem, and then they needed to re-release and sell off the rest of the Note 7s that they were able to fix or essentially software cap the battery experience on them. And the result of that, it was what they called the fan edition. Last year, we saw the S20 fan edition, which had some mixed reviews. It was an interesting approach to the S20. It came out at the end of the year, where the S20, the S20 Plus, the S20 Ultra came out early in the year, but it still features the Snapdragon 865. So it was a cheaper experience. I'm hoping the Tab S7 fan edition kind of makes a splash and it makes a decent experience for people that are looking for it. I think the S7 Plus is still the best experience you can get with all of the options that you get in there, the display, the speakers, the fingerprint sensor, the S Pen functionality, and all of the built-in functional things that we get in there. But again, it depends on the users. I will wait till the officially available and maybe able to pick one up just to do a comparison, because I do use the Tab S7 Plus on the daily. Like seriously, anytime I'm shooting a video, I'm using my Tab S7 Plus, and I also use it for productivity when I'm writing scripts. So it's very nice and one of the best tablets that runs Android that's currently out. Russ is saying, TK, the LG V50 or the LG G8? Can you do a short comparison between the two? So I will probably actually point you to one of my best buds for that one. The reason I say that is because Juan Carlos Bagnell, some gadget guy, has done videos on those and talked about them. If I had to point between the two, I would recommend you go with the G50. The V50 has much better camera sensors. Also, if depending on the model that you're able to get, if you get the Korean model, also has the ability of using dual displays. But at the end of the day, it was a high resolution display, better cameras. It's one of the better options when it comes down to devices. The G8 and the G8X are slightly different experiences because the G8X introduced the dual display that came with it. But I feel like if you had to go with a powerhouse of what LG has showcased and proven to us, the V50 would be the one to go with for sure. Oh, here. So Russ, one back here. So it's the Lenovo tablets that are releasing, and the prices on it are insane. But maybe it will be a little bit more expensive if releasing globally. Less expensive, you mean? It depends on the market, really. It ends up being, Lenovo is known for their yoga books, and they are known for their foldables, and they have different form factors that come out there. But they also have some SKUs or models that are also very inexpensive. So it depends on what you're looking. My goal essentially, when you're looking at a laptop or a tablet or any kind of productivity tool, as long as it fits what you're looking for, there's so many options on the market that you really need to just do a little bit more time, spend more time doing a little bit more homework on finding what works for you, because you're not limited by the selection. You're limited by just you not searching for other options. And unfortunately, going to a store does not give you the experience of everything available. Best Buys or any other stores in the US that, retail stores that you can go in and check out these type of experiences are only showing what they're able within the certain limitation of that space. So definitely research it. And of course, utilize, Google, YouTube for some of your options in there. Hitesh is saying, hi, how you doing, man? Hope you're doing well. Davin, I think, yeah. So Davin Davis jumped back with the right answer right there. Russ, absolutely, V50 has the better overall camera, versatility, including battery life. The G8 is good but with that Face ID, and it's more pocketable, but otherwise it's the same. Yeah, for sure. I recommend the V50 for sure. Let's see here real quick. What do we have here? Oh yeah, Dominic. Okay, wait, are we at that? Dang, we are at that time. Hold on a second. Okay. So as you guys know, if you guys have been checking out and following us here on the chat, I do want to say good morning and sabaho to everybody. That's we're around that point in the in the live stream where we kind of do a Tkception. It's a part of a unique experience here, the part of the show that we like to do, thanking everybody for helping us and supporting us. But if you don't mind, if you notice right there in the chat, the comment that I have highlighted right now from Dominic, we typically put in a hashtag Tkception, TK Alphabet. You know, you can insert all of the love that you want after that. Tkception is primarily the only requirement. Thank you, Davin. And then we're going to go ahead and start doing this nice little effect that we do in the chat. That honestly happened as a on its own. It was a total coincidence that I didn't realize was happening, and then it became part of the show. Can't say anything about it, but like seriously, guys, for sure. And with that being said, I do want to say there's a lot of things going on with basically with updates and device releases and so on. So if you're looking for a smartphone, if you haven't received your update yet, if you're waiting for that update right now, keep in mind that there are sometimes betas that you can jump on if you're comfortable jumping in on a beta with the understanding of the flexibility that's going on there. You know, Android 12 is getting into a beta. A lot of companies are pulled up there. You know, they have their new versions. They're going to be releasing more stable things coming up in the later months. So I wouldn't necessarily jump on the 12 beta yet. But the betas with like MIUI devices, specifically from Xiaomi, there isn't that much of a problem. You just need to be comfortable as long as you know that when you jump into the beta, you need to keep going on and then updating from the beta to go back on the stable. And you need to be comfortable flashing that or installing it over basically a stable edition. So just keep that in mind. Let me see here real quick. Can install 12.5. Oh, I love it when pictures start falling on the floor. Let me see here. The Note 9. You know, actually, it depends. If there is a Hitesh is asking, can I install the MIUI 12.5 on the Redmi Note 9? If you are in a market where they have the version of that for the beta running on there, you should be able to do it. Yeah. One of my cats is deciding to scratch the wall outside of the office for the last 6 minutes. I don't know why. But with that being said, let's go ahead and put that in real quick here. And we're going to do the Tkception. Let's double check here. So we're going to, so we started off with Dominic. Obviously, Dominic was one of, actually, we'll start it off with Ranesh. And let's say here, share screen, full screen, and ready. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Hey, thank you very much. Dominic, of course, started us off at the beginning. Thank you very much with Ranesh, Tkception in there. Chemi Torres, of course, the man, always supporting us. And of course, Jeff is in there. Jeff Quick in there. It's Chemi's in there. Sorry, I hit the wrong one there. Tkception as well. Russ in there. Davin Davis, Tkception, TK Tesla Bay. Speaking of which, another couple of videos coming up on the Tesla. And of course, Tkception, TK Alphabet, and TK Eats Like a... You got to check out my wife's, and not that I'm trying to do a shameless plug on my side, but you got to check out my wife, Simply Food Bae, BAE, on Instagram, and you'll understand what Joe means. he's been following my meals lately. Thank you very much for the TK, to Gary the Fisherman, the boss man himself, Tkception, TK Tesla Bay, hashtag TSLA. If you want to make sure to catch up the stock market there, Alpha Bay and TKR Bay, of course. Thank you very much, Gary, and thank you very much for the super chat. Davin Davis, Russ, Ranesh, everybody in there. Of course, Earl Owens in there as well. I want to say thank you very much. Ranesh jumping back in there. And of course, a lot of you guys, I want to say again, it's very, very appreciative I am very appreciative of you having that much, following support for so long. And I think it's something that we just don't really say it enough, but I want to say thank you very much for everything that you guys do. Hanging out with me on Saturday mornings, keeping me in check. I cannot believe the audio issues this week should have been the title of this episode. Can you hear me? Yeah, I'll have to start there. What I would probably say, oh man, okay, hold on. Let me forget it. So obviously, Matt Tyler, as always, thank you very much. The man, the myth, the Call of Duty god himself is Matt Tyler, of course. So what I would probably say is the biggest thing with Android 12, or at least, sorry, the EMUI 12.5 that I got the update for. Although really nice to be able to get 12.5 and get some of those additional security functions, the audio, the sound options, the ability of having the new super wallpapers. I'm still missing the experiences. I want to be able to use the camera, the back display on the Mi 11 Ultra with the Mi 11 Ultra on it, because it just begs to be used in video. We're like, seriously, you need to be able to use it in video, especially for content creators. They have a built-in option to be able to use external microphones with Bluetooth. So they're getting there. They're getting us to full-blown production level style experiences, because this is literally the best, I would say, non-foldable smartphone that they've released, and it can only get better with more updates. So for sure, very, very excited about that, and hopefully we'll see more updates from them. Jimmy, thank you very much, of course, for everybody. Hashtag Tkception for Jimmy, Davin Davis, portable. Okay, so here, Tesh, okay. Thelash, hopefully I'm saying that right. Thelash9 is saying portable monitors are also an option over laptops to use with your phones. So that's an option for depending on the smartphone that you're using, if it does support basically desktop experiences. But you're right. For me, I've used portable monitors, and I've also used, and they typically can actually be very reasonably priced, like a decent 7, maybe 10-inch display, 10, 11 inch to 13-inch display with 1080p resolution that gives you the experience. So the concern with the only thing I would probably say is you just need to keep in mind that when you're using them with an external monitor like that, you need to use an external either USB or a Bluetooth keyboard and mouse. So there are a few other accessories you can do on a reasonably priced one for about like 150 maybe total price. But keep in mind that like a Nextdock, I think if I'm not mistaken, a Nextdock 2 and a Nextdock Touch, there was, I think at one point I saw it was like 199 bucks, which is not that much, but that also includes a keyboard, a mouse, a speakers built in, headphone jack, extra ports, and a built-in battery to charge up your smartphone at the same time. But definitely there are some nice options as well. I think there's some of the other options here. I appreciate it, Doodle. I very, very much. Yeah. Everybody hanging out with us. Bank holiday weekend, baby, barbecue Monday. Interesting. So wait, Matt, you guys have a holiday on Monday as well? Because for us, it's Memorial Day. I'm wondering what it is in the UK. Because I heard somebody also saying the same thing that lived in the UK, saying it was a nice long weekend. But I didn't catch what was the holiday. What was the cause for it? I'm assuming not Memorial Day, but maybe something similar, like another holiday. I mean, not similar in that aspect. Okay, so there's a few for the most of the items that I've talked about today. There are links in the description below for the tablet, for the software updates available for MIUI devices, and the dock that I'm referring to it is called the. So here, let me see if I can find it real quick for you here, because I've done videos. If you check out the channel and just type in next dock. So it's just NEX dock. And I think if I'm not mistaken, the next generation of what they're offering right now is the new foldable one. I think the next dock 13, if I'm not mistaken. So you could typically find them sold online or used, but the new one, at least if nothing else, just go to nextdock, nexdoc.com. Let me see here. If you see that, catch it. If you, and then what I'll do, and I'll also add that into the chat. Actually, into the description of the video. Days off for school, for work as well. No reason, just bank holiday throughout the year. Who gives us a long weekend? Hey man, I love it. If you're able to take some time off, take it, enjoy it, and then relax as much as possible if you can. So if you haven't seen it there, that's the link, nextdock.com. Great. I've used the Nextdock Touch and the Nextdock 2, and I'm hoping to be able to check out their new one. Hopefully, we'll have to see how the show kind of ends. But with that being said, again, we are hitting the end of the show. Thank you very much for everybody checking out the show, hanging out with us, and of course, giving us the support. Make sure to check out the audio podcast if you guys are interested in that. There's a link as well in the description below to be able to catch it on the replay. I will be editing the first 3 minutes and 50 seconds out of that, since obviously you do not want to. It's not as funny when you can't see me talking for no reason for 3 minutes and nobody can hear me. And I may end up also going back and editing that part out of the full live stream once it renders and it finishes, because it's going to be weird. Everybody turns it on. They're like, hey, is my audio on? And they're going to be, it's like people are going to feel like I'm trolling them. But I hope you guys are doing well. Take care of yourself. Take care of your friends. Call and get in touch with somebody you haven't talked to for some time. And of course, make sure you support your friends. If I'm not mistaken, I think the Cross the Podcast show is going through some reorganization, so it may not be on tomorrow, but hopefully we'll be back very soon. Catch, of course, the SGGQA on Monday morning with our buddy Juan Carlos Bagnell in the Gadget Lab 4.0. I cannot wait to go over there, crash that party, and make sure to get some good ramen, but I'll have to work out some good timing with him. So thank you, everybody. Renesh, Dominic, Gary, Aziz is in there as well. Devin Davis, Matt Tyler, Greg, Russ, Jimmy in there, of course, Dominic Wong, everybody in there, just hanging out with us, kicking it. Earl Owens, of course, Doodle Xenos, of course, a lot of everybody. I want to make sure I didn't miss anybody. Gary, Davin Davis, make sure to get that. El Josa was in there, Chemi's in there, and of course, a lot of other people in there. So take care of yourself. Be good. I'll see you guys next Saturday on another episode of the Saturday Morning with Tech with yours truly. And till then, have fun. I'll see you then. Bye-bye.